Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video I'm going to talk about Kazui, the son of Ichigo Kurosaki, and what powers does Kazui have, especially since I find Kazui an interesting character in many ways, the most important of which is what power he has, as well as the new powers that can result from the marriage of Ichigo, who has several powers with Orihime, who also has powers that are among the most powerful abilities in Bleach. So, in order to try to guess what Kazue's power is, we have to talk about Ichigo's current powers. There were long discussions about whether Ichigo lost his Quincy and Hollow's power or not. In the novel there were several strong indications that he still possesses these powers, and perhaps the most prominent of them is the words of Urahara Kisuke when he said that although the spiritual strength of Ichigo consists mainly of Shinigami and human strength, the powers of the Hollow and the Quincy are still within him. And Urahara's words are consistent with Kobo's last answer about Ichigo's dual Zanpakuto, when he says that Ichigo can still turn his Shikai into the dual form if he wants to, and this is a sufficient indication that all of Ichigo's powers are still with him, since the two swords represent Ichigo's Shinigami power mixed with the power of Hollow, and the short sword is the power of the Quincy. Therefore, Ichigo has the power of Shinigami mixed with the Hollow and the Quincy power, as well as the Fullbring powers. As for Orihime, she is human and has Fullbring power that she was able to wake up because of the Hogyoko. And if we go back to Ichigo, he is from two parents, one of whom is a Shinigami and the other is Quincy and has Hollow powers. And all those powers moved to Ichigo. So automatically, all the power that Ichigo has, whether it is Shinigami power mixed with the Hollow as well as Quincy power, will move to Kazue. And the end of chapter 686 confirms that Kazue is able to transform into a Shinigami and has his own Zanpakuto. And before I delve into this topic, I would like to point out that the power of the Fullbring may be present in Kazue as a genetic factor, as long as both of his parents have such powers. It is possible that he had these powers because of this factor, and perhaps those fishes that we saw in the special chapters of Hell are one of those manifestations of that power. And Kazue being a Fullbring, it will make him a second generation Fullbringer, and this term is applied to the characters who have the powers of the Fullbring and one of their parents also possesses these powers, and the most prominent example is Aura from the novel. She possesses these powers of the Fullbring, and her father also had this power. But what I really want to know is how Kazue was able to discover his powers and when this was done. I mean his Shinigami powers, because Ichigo didn't awaken his powers until he was 15, and this was done through a very complicated and dangerous operation that could have ended in the death of Ichigo. Urahara cut Ichigo's chain of fate in order to make him transform into a Shinigami, and this was done by the help of the Osan. In addition, Ichigo already owned a special Asauchi, and we all know his Asauchi is white. So how did it go with Kazue? I don't think at all that Kazue had the same experience as Ichigo, but I think that Kazue at an early age seemed to sense that he was not that normal human child, and he has extraordinary powers, whether from seeing his father transforms into a Shinigami or any with use of her abilities, all of which may have made Ichigo decided to train Kazue in order to awaken his Shinigami powers at an early age. And as it happened in the past, Ichigo went to Urahara Kisuke to get some help to awaken Kazue's power. Or it could be that Ichigo took him to the Soul Society in order to get an Asauchi for his son, and thus he got Zanpakuto. And I doubt this option. I don't think Ichigo would go with Kazue to the Soul Society, especially since Ichika in chapter 686 showed no signs that she had seen Kazue before. So I think Urahara Kisuke helped Kazue awakens his powers in a less dangerous way than he did with his father, and Kazue may also have a special Asauchi as long as his Shinigami powers move to him from his father. And we all know that Ichigo's Shinigami powers are mixed with Hollow, or it could be Urahara Kisuke is the one that brought an Asauchi from Serity to Kazue, and as a result Kazue was able to put the essence of his soul into the Asauchi and got his Zanpakuto, because Kazue's Zanpakuto looks like a normal katana. I mean in the sealed form, especially if you focus on the handle, not like Ichigo's Zanpakuto which is in a full release. But at the same time, the shape of the handle resembles the shape of Ichigo's handle in the Bankai mode. They both have the same shape. In addition, the way Kazue transforms into a Shinigami is more dynamic than his father's. Previously, we saw Ichigo using the badge to separate from his physical body. As for Kazue, in the blink of an eye, he can become a Shinigami without seeing any signs of separation from his physical body. And he did the same thing in the last chapter. The strange thing here is that Kazue, in that chapter when he transformed into a Shinigami, he didn't have a Zanpakuto. Unlike what happened in the previous chapter, Kazue transformed and the Zanpakuto behind his back. So does Kazue have the ability to control how he turns into a Shinigami, so that he turns into a form where he is without Zanpakuto and another form in which he summons his Zanpakuto? Kazue, frankly, may be more distinguished character even than his father in terms of how he deals with his powers. That's why I think the spirits of Kazue's Zanpakuto will be one character, not like Ichigo who has two spiritual characters inside him, the Osan and Shirosaki. I do think that the spirits of Kazue's Zanpakuto as an appearance would be like Shirosaki. I mean hollow as a shape, but he has all the powers of Kazue, a unique Zanpakuto with different powers. And unlike Ichigo, Kazue's Zanpakuto will be in a complete agreement with him. A character like Kazue would not be difficult to subdue his Zanpakuto, no matter how special it is. Kazue's transformation into a Shinigami carrying Zanpakuto behind his back is only evidence of the extent to which this child was able to control his powers in an unusual way. It can be said that Kazue is a monster in the form of a small child. Imagine that Ichigo inherited his Shinigami powers from his father, Isshin, who is one of the nobles of the 5 great families. So, in the same process, how much Shinigami power did Kazue inherit from his father, Ichigo? And we all know how strong Ichigo is, no doubt its miraculous powers. And if Kobo introduces new chapters on the Hell arc, we'll definitely see new concepts of strength through Kazue. And the craziest thing I can imagine is, what if Kazue had full brain powers similar to his mother's? I will not say strong up to reject things like his mother, but let's say hearing powers. That would be crazy. So for that, I really want Kobo to write new chapters on the Hell arc, as long as Kazue has a lot to do with it, and through that we can see how strong he is. Does he also use Getsuga Tensho techniques like his father, or has a Zanpakuto of another kind that can produce new techniques? Can he use a hollow mask or certain hollow powers as well? Can he also use some Quincy techniques such as BLEACH or manipulating the Reishi? These are all things I would like to see. I should also point out that Kobo mentioned that both Kazue and Ichigo's Zanpakuto are secret, and from what we saw in the last chapter, Kazue is far from Ichigo in terms of strength. The latter has removed the remains of Yojimbo and opening gates that we don't know for sure what are, and most likely are the gates of hell. For all that, Kazue is one of the most excited characters in upcoming events. At the end, guys, what do you think about Kazue's strength? Give me your opinion in the comments and see you guys in my next video.